Hey guys, Graham J here. Coming in with a video for you today. This is so weird because I'm looking here, but the camera's right here, and I know the camera's right here, and I need to look right here. So, making some coffee right now. I've got a video coming today. We're gonna do an uninstallation of a stock radio, and we're gonna put in the Phoenix 12.1 fast boot Android 9 radio, the Tesla style screen radio. So there's not a lot of stuff on the internet about this particular system, how to install it or even uninstall it on the G. I'd like to get a video like that out there, and I'd also like to include this on the Road to Boost for one reason, because, and this may be kind of a loophole, this will allow me to run the EcuTech app on my radio, which will be great because I can have an interface for the EcuTech system while I'm tuning the car, while I'm running, and once we've got it boosted and stuff, I can kind of keep my parameters up on the screen versus having my phone set up. I got it with the Android Auto option, the dongle. I also got one of the USB cigarette ashtray conversion things off of the G37 Tesla page. So this is going to be kind of a multi-tiered video. We're going to have the unboxing of the Android radio. I know it's not as fun. And then the uninstallation of the stock radio, the installation of the Android radio, any hiccups we run into, you know, with the Phoenix unit and anything else like that. And then, you know, after that, maybe a cold start and some playing around on the system. So anyways, I hope you enjoy. Have a good one. It's a beautiful day here in Searcy, Arkansas, and I got some coffee brewing. So here we are. Almost to where we need to be, but I wanted to take the time and kind of show you guys what the unboxing is. I've already filmed this a couple of times. House is a mess. I've got a new kitten running around, so he loves to play with the paper, so that's his thing. He might be over here by the box, but anyways, so here's the system. Here's how it comes boxed, and this is what you can expect. This kind of tells you what is what. Very vaguely and in Chinese. Here's also an English version of what connections do what. I will be referring to this, and I'll also be referring to some of the help on the page. Here's kind of the Android Auto dongle instructions, but it's all in Chinese. Not really that important to me. I'll figure it out. Here's something to wipe the screen down. I don't plan to take this off until I know everything's good with it, in case I need to send it back. Some white gloves for the install. That's kind of cool. I think it'll come in handy near the end when you're actually getting ready to place it in. The dongle for the Android Auto, which is great. I did get the USB modification thing to put them in the ashtray. So I'd like to see if I can actually run this behind the unit and have it connect through one of the USBs, so I don't have to have this externally, but we'll see. Here's the radio, and then underneath it comes all of the cables that come based on the specifications of your vehicle that you give them. So it's really important that you give them the right specs. Mine was Bose, navigation, backup camera, and then I have Sirius XM, so I don't know if they'll send something for that. I haven't visually inspected this out of the packaging. I'm sure it's all good. This thing was well packed, and I'm looking forward to a good install, so stay tuned. Again, it's going to be a long video, but I'd like to make sure we go through everything, so talk to you soon. Alright guys, so I just thought of something. If you're planning on removing the stock radio and putting in the aftermarket one and then selling this, I'd highly recommend deleting your information off of this. So that's what we're doing right now. Shout out to all these sweet lights I got installed. They're lighting this project up, making it real easy. But anyways, so yeah, go through, make sure you delete your phone, delete your saved locations, your house, and all that stuff, so that when you go to take all this stuff out, you don't have to power it back up and try and remove all that stuff before you sell it. Just wipe it now, sell it, and move on. Alright you guys, big tip here as well before you get started. Make sure that's unplugged. I know technically you should be fine, but I wouldn't mess with anything electrical. Honestly, anything that's tied to the computer I would not do unless that thing is unplugged. So just a bit of advice. Anyways, here we go, getting started. Alright, one last thing before I get started. If you care about your car, I would recommend using some gloves on this kind of a project, just, you know, throughout the whole thing. And then grab yourself a plastic trim piece kit. You know, these things are cheap. I got this for like 12 bucks on eBay, and it just comes with all of these things to help remove panels and stuff that is technically safe for certain surfaces. I know this one's sharp, but they've got an abundance of different, you know, shapes and sizes for all kinds of things. So just grab one of these. It's cheap and it'll help make the job easier. So, all right, here we go. All right, guys. So I drive a 6 manual speed, and I tried to get this shift knob off. This just came back from the shop. They threw a stage 3 clutch in it, and I've been rotating it and I've been fighting with it, and I really don't want to deal with it. So I tightened it back to where it belongs, and I'm trying to get around this without having to do that, and I think I figured it out. I may have issues with install, but I don't think so. So I've got this out far enough. I need to unplug the electrical connector back here, and then once I get that unplugged, this should be free to spin, and then I'm going to spin it out of the way. To get this boot off, there was a screw that fastens this point into this, which is kind of the big connector for this whole panel that's moving here, and that was connected by that. So I'm keeping all my little parts in here. So I've got that disconnected. This is free to spin now, so I can really get this out of my way if I need to, but I don't want to pull it off. I don't want to take this off if I don't have to. It's going to be a pain. So right now I'm going to try and get that electrical connection undone, move this up and out of the way without scratching anything, obviously. Like, I'm taking good care of the car. And then, boom, all of this is accessible. If it's an issue, I'll put it back together and try and get this off, but I think I can work around it. But we'll see how it comes to wiring it. So I'm going to unplug that right now and see what I can figure out. Alright, I spoke too soon. I did have to move this in such a way that I wanted to kind of protect it, so I put that down. But I got it. I got the access I needed. I've got all the room I needed there. I should be able to pull the rest of this apart with no issues. I guess my only concern is how I'm going to get the USB tray that's going to go right here into this area, but I can worry about that later. Right now I'm going to focus on the install. So again, without the shift knob removed, we've got the access we need. You know, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm going to keep going. Alright, series of 2 fasteners down here that held that on. So I've got those removed, and now this is exposed, and there's electrical connectors in the back that I'm going to pull off. Remember, keep your hardware somewhere where you can find it. Those were 2, they're the same size, so I'm not worried about orientation or anything there. But yeah, that was that. I'm going to undo the electrical connectors here, and then I'm going to move to those screws right there, those fasteners there, and that'll pull this fascia off. And I think the screen actually is connected by separate fasteners as well. So we're going to move to that portion next, and I'll keep you guys in the loop. Alright guys, so I can see how people tear this up when they uninstall this. Like, they really beat this up because they struggle mostly with a lot of these connectors, but this bitch right here was a pain. So basically what I had to do, that one was the last one I couldn't get out, and I had to take a little tool like this, and I wedged it right here in this little groove, and then pushed it out. I think the instinct is to push this down, so then you can pull it out, but just push it out right there. And everything else has its own little connector that you put. You push that, it comes out. You push that, it comes out. Same with this one, which is connected back here. So anyways, be careful with this process. Remember this one, you stick this in right here and then pry out that way, because it goes into right here. Here's the other end of it. It's kind of a pain, but if you futz around with this and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to end up hitting this because the connection's so tight that you'll damage this part. And once you do that, I mean, to replace this panel is going to be a pain, and you don't want this to look bad. So either protect this or just follow that process there and you'll get it out. Alright, next step, there's 2 screws right here, and they go directly under here. They're the upper screws that I showed you that match those little guys right there. So those come out, and then this just pulls right out. So just make sure you pull this right out straight. Try not to damage any of the outer portion there like we talked about. So those 2 screws, and then this guy just pulls straight out. So just pull that out and get it out of the car. Alright, now there's 2 silver screws that come out right here, right there and right there, and that's how you're going to pull this section out. This is the screen. Now be mindful, as soon as you get those screws out, there's still some connections in the back that we need to address, but those screws are those silver ones, and they are different than the black ones. These appear to be flat-ended screws. I don't know what the proper name for them is, but they do not have the sharp, I guess almost tapping end or the sharp end. So after that, the screen will come out. It's on these tracks down here. So we're going to pull it forward and then it's going to hang loose. But remember, there's some connections back here. So we need to undo these connections. And then we also need to be mindful of all of our surrounding areas. We want these to stay clean. Don't be lazy here. This is going to bite you in the ass if you don't take care of this the way you want to. You want this to look like it was professionally done. Spend your time to pay attention to the details. So we're going to get these connections off, then the screen will come out, and then I think the CD player will just pull out. I don't want to spend too much time on that, so I'm going to try and get that out as quickly as possible. I'm not paying attention too much to these connectors right now because I'll get the other harness wired up before I install the other radio, and we'll go through that step by step. So next step, we're going to pull this out, get the CD player out, and then we're going to go and pay attention to the other wiring harness and what wires go to what, kind of understand that, and then get all the wires done, and then move the vents over to the new radio because there's still vents over there on that one. Okay, and those need to be moved over, and then we'll move on with the install. All right, so I struggled just a little bit with the CD player, but there's two screws, packed deep in there. One right there and one right there. So we got to get those out, and this will come right out. And see anything that's silver, kind of a part of this panel. I don't believe we're going to use that again. So a lot of these screws can be tossed or kept. But anyways, those are buried in there, and that's what we're going to focus on to pull the CD player out. Alright, CD player's out, and I want you guys to be mindful that I thought I'd just yank that thing out and it would be fine, but there was an abundance of different connectors behind it. So it will be a pain, but I had to suspend it right here and kind of move it out a little bit so it wasn't hanging to get most of those connectors out. These ones were easy. Don't try and pull on them, just push that down. Everything else is pretty similar, just push those clips down. The most difficult one was this one, which didn't really have anything to push on. It's right here, but it was hidden. And then there was another one, I think it was this guy. Again, so be careful. I did have to move this up a little bit just to kind of protect these areas right here from getting damaged. Now, this looks like it's been scuffed, but that was already there. Again, not a big deal. That just can buff out with a little bit of Armor All. I think this panel's been removed before. But generally, I did not make any sort of contact with these special... These are so soft, so you just want to be careful with that. So again, we're good all the way down on both sides. And just be very, very careful pulling that thing out. I think a lot of people are going to get there and be like, okay, it's time to pull this out. Oh, there's all these. Let me just rip them out real quick. We're so close, but be careful. All right, moving on. All right, you guys. So here's where I'm at. You get these wires. These all come in the box, right? So these are accessory wires. They're all bagged. Like this one says DVR. Well, guess what? I didn't order a DVR. I don't have a DVR, so I'm assuming that this one's unnecessary. The connector there does have another connection point in the car, but I'm going to ignore that until I really understand what I'm going to be using this for, because I don't think I need this. Aux input line. Guess what? I don't have an auxiliary jack in the car. There isn't one on the radio, so I may use this, I may not. I don't know. It just seems like an accessory. Here's another telltale sign that this is an accessory. So here's the antenna for GPS that you would run inside the car. Well, guess what? I already have that. It's right here. It's on the car, and that connection is right there because that's the only thing that looks like this. And that was connected back here. So again, I'm just learning. I haven't looked at a diagram. I'm just kind of going through this on my own. But accessory, USB connector. maybe an accessory that I need because I need these USBs. So we'll find out about that. These are suspect. They might be necessary. RCA video output line. I don't know what I would need this for yet. So, you know, we'll just kind of take it easy. And then video output line. I don't know if I need this yet. This is the main harness. This comes, it's got the QX50 labeled on it. I know I need this. I got to figure out how this goes in. This is the Wi-Fi antenna. I know I need this. So I'm going to start here and I'll report back to you guys shortly. I'm going to get this figured out before I move on to the install. I'm going to take my time with this. There's a kitten. Alright, so I made my first mistake. I should have taken pictures of my wiring setup. But I got it figured out. So there's these two things right here. They're connected by this bundle, I guess, and this conduit. Anyways, these go into this box. Now, I watched a video from Phoenix and he said that this box needs to stay connected to the mounting brackets, which are all connected by those hex bits. If you guys aren't familiar with what a hex bit is, that's what they look like. I can't give you the specs, but anyways, it was connected. Even a good Allen head should be able to get rid of them. But anyways, so those stay plugged into this. This stays plugged into the system. This does not plug into anything else. I believe this is a set of controls for your AC and stuff. So just, maybe I'm wrong. I know that this needs to stay. Calisonic can set. I'm not sure what this does exactly, but it stays plugged in. Nothing else plugs into it. You just plug those two things back into this. This stays where it needs to be. Alright, so I've got that plugged in and tucked away now. I'm just going to leave it tucked away until I figure out everything else I need to do. And that'll be it for now. Here's the main wiring harness, so I'm still trying to figure this guy out. I'm going to refer to Phoenix's video for this, and then I'll show you guys what to do a little bit, I guess, in a better way. I'll explain it. So let me get this figured out and I'll be back. Alright guys, I want to film this once. I may come back, but when I have this installed, I don't really want to rip it apart again. So I'll just show you, based on watching Phoenix's videos, where I'm at. So I've got this connection here plugged in. This one remains unplugged. I've got this one connected here. And this feeds back to the two wires that comes into the main harness here. This is AC. Okay. We've got Bose, stays unplugged. I've got the brain, which will go into the main section here. These video connections, which will go to the video accessory cable that I got. I've got that one plugged in there, that one plugged in there. So there's these two. This one right here. This one right here. This one here, and then this one here, which is for USB. I've got the factory USB plugged in, and I'll keep the CarPlay in here, and then I'll have another one ran through to the cigarette lighter. As far as unplugged connectors, I've got this one that's unplugged. Hopefully that's the case when I turn it on. This one that's unplugged. This one's kind of its own thing. I've got this one right here, which I'm 100% sure this is for my antenna. And this one down here, but this is for the cigarette lighter, so ignore that one. Again, I'm trying to show this to you guys as, I guess, as best as I can. So leaving this piece out, I've got that unplugged. I've got these two cables here. This one's plugged in, this one isn't. Okay, this one's plugged in. Right behind it, I've got another one plugged in, which is a smaller one, not plugged in. Got this thing right here. Radio, USB, those two back there. So a total of plugged ins, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with USB, these two attached up here, and then I've got the antenna here that's going to get plugged in as well. Outside of that, I've got a few unplugged. This one right here, this one up here, this one right here, and I think that's a total of 3. Ignoring this one because this is my antenna, and then obviously the video cables. I hope I'm right, and I hope this helps. I know it's kind of confusing, but really you just kind of focus on everything that lines up, where it needs to line up, plug it in, and then refer back. I've been referring back to the Phoenix video, so if I'm correct in this, you know, you can watch this part back. But really, everything goes where it needs to go. Just remember what doesn't need to be used, and make sure everything that comes on their harness goes somewhere that it needs to. It needs to make a solid connection. Again, if you have navigation, you'll have that antenna thing right there. So we'll go with that. We'll try it. Hopefully it works. Alright guys, so I've got the reverse camera in. This is probably why this needs to come out, because I have very little room to work with here. But I'm trying not to let anything touch. There's a lot of jagged edges on the back of this, and it's kind of cramped. But anyways, as you can see, backup camera's working, AC's working. I can turn the AC up. It's blowing. You can turn the temperature down. As you can see, it's going down and up and down. Same thing for the other side. My backup camera is stuck because I'm in this position, so I know that everything works. I've kind of set it up here lightly, and I put it from reverse into neutral, checked everything. Everything's working. So right now I'm going to go back, unplug everything, go back, put the vents in, try and get this installed loosely, and then make sure it all works again, and then go from there. Again, all the connections that I showed you, nothing's changed. Everything's the way I had it when we last spoke about these connections. All I did was put it in and make sure it works, plug the battery in and make sure everything works. Everything works. Stuff that I did not use, again, RCA video output line, not something I'm going to be using. DVR, not something I'm going to be using. Video output line, I don't think this is something I'm going to be using. I haven't figured out what I might use this for yet. Same with the antenna. There was also this unknown that I was unsure about, and I can't find it. It was this little unknown thing. Maybe it's in here. No. It said aux on it. And I couldn't figure out. Here it is. This. I don't know what this would be for. I couldn't find a connector for it. It's aux. And I just don't know. So, anyways, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to put all the wires back there if I don't need them. I'm going to install it. It works. And I'll get back with you after I get everything put in. Hopefully this helps you guys. I know it's not the most intricate video, but this is kind of where I'm at. And I'll let you know here in just a minute. Alright guys, I may be struggling with this portion of it, but I feel like these just aren't lining up right. Maybe over time the tabs will massage in. But here's kind of what I'm talking about. These tabs right here, you know, like this one right here, there's play. And if I adjust it, then it comes unhinged over here. And then same with this side. So I'll manipulate them a little bit, but I think that it's just that the plastic will, over time, will have to kind of get used to its new shape. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try and throw it all in now, and hopefully this is where we're at. This plastic's pretty malleable, so I wouldn't worry too much about snapping it, but definitely handle this with finesse. You don't want to break this. It popped off of that okay, popped onto this okay, but just take your time with it. Don't get frustrated. And if it's not lining up perfectly, you know, get it as best as you can, and then move over to the install, and we'll see if that works. I'll keep you posted. All right, guys, ready to plug the unit back in. I've got this bracket back in, which is absolutely necessary. I tried to actually fit it without that. Not going to happen because it's going to mount down here to these two. So these are a little malleable, and so it's going to mount back to these two. You have to mount this because this is going to position this in a way to get it out. I tried to fit it without, and it wasn't happening. So let's try and get it in. Again, trying to not nick this. This is very difficult. Please, please, please be careful with this, because you're gonna tear this section up if you're not careful. So I've been using this actually. I've been placing this right here so I can just rest it without worrying, and then kind of work it in. I thought about putting like a microfiber cloth along this until I'm ready, but it'll fit the way it needs to fit as long as you're patient and you do it right. So I'm gonna try and get it in here again and then plug everything up. All right, guys, I think I'm done. I am a little concerned about the fitment. I feel like, you know, it's not in there as good as it can be. You know, I've tried to reconfigure how it sits in the back, as far as the wiring goes behind, and it seems like it's, I don't know, it's not going anywhere. I got everything back in, you know, it's back together. So there it is. So I'm gonna go outside and mess with it out back, and just make sure everything's good. AC works, you know, everything's working. I haven't tried the USB parts, which I'd actually like to try. So I'm gonna get the CarPlay dongle in here and just make sure that's working, and then go for a test drive. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm gonna mess around with it, and I'll be back. But it's working, so everything's good to go as far as I'm aware.